I can't lie, there are a lot of things I'm hearing about Black Ops 7 that are getting me excited, because if this ends up translating into the zombies mode, we could, and I don't want to build anyone's expectations up, be in for a pretty good year, especially when I think everybody's expectations are quite low. Naturally, you would think that means they haven't had much time to develop this then, but according to the leaks, Black Ops 7 has been in development for just as long, if not longer, than BO6 was. Treyarch initially were only supposed to make Black Ops 7, but I'm guessing Activision told them, no, instead you're going to release a game in 2024 and 2025, so get working on another game at the same time. And that's what they've done. BO7 has had about 4 to 5 years of development time. It just hasn't been the only thing that Treyarch have been working on. And well, because we are so close to the official reveal now on the 19th, we are starting to get more and more leaks about it. So let's go ahead and take a look at what new information we've got about zombies. The first bit comes from Insider Gaming, a very reliable source. I'm pretty sure this is the exact same source that first broke the news we were going to be getting Tranzit 6 months back, and that a new version of Richtofen and Takeo Nikolai and Dempsey will return. And they are now saying in BO7's Tranzit map, it has been much scaled up, but this time, instead of a bus that drives you around, you are going to be able to do it yourself. So you can drive the Tranzit bus now. Just for those of you who are behind or haven't been staying up to date with zombies for a long time, it's all but been confirmed Tranzit is returning. We've seen it in the official teaser. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a 1-to-1 remake, not only because it takes place within the Dark Ether, so that means the skybox will be different, but also, as I said here, it has been scaled up, improved. In the audio log that you can find in Reckoning, where Panos describes the different locations he's seeing in the map, he talks about a tower, which is the pylon, a place of nourishment, which is the diner, and he also mentions a floating pyramid. That was never in the original Tranzit. When Insider Gaming talks about the map being scaled up, does he mean it's bigger than the original? That would make sense, because other leaks have told us this is going to be the biggest zombies map to date, excluding Outbreak or Modern Warfare 3, the biggest round-based map. I'm pretty sure that title recently went to Terminus. Whether they included the water area in that, which isn't really playable, I don't know. Either way, if this Tranzit remake is being dubbed as the biggest to date, then I wouldn't be surprised if it has new locations, or the old locations are much bigger. And I guess that would also go hand in hand with us now being able to drive the bus. In the original map in BO2, you would normally have to wait for the bus to go all the way around the map, whereas now if you can drive it, I would guess you could go from town to diner, from farm to the bus depot, without having to stop at all of the other locations. On the other hand, part of the reason why Tranzit was so fun and bad at the same time was because Ted drove you around. It was different having a transportation system that you couldn't control. Well, you could knife Ted and he would stop the bus, but transportation systems that you can operate yourself aren't new in zombies, whereas that was unique. But to be honest, that doesn't really bother me. How do you guys feel about this news? As with every leak, I always say, take it with a grain of salt. I don't know if it's true or if it's not, but this is what we're being told. Does that mean Tranzit will also have loads of more routes then? Because in the original, it was pretty much a big circle, although you could take that shortcut through town, and there would have been no room for the bus to turn around really. The roads were quite narrow and had debris and cars everywhere. So it sounds like it's not just a Tranzit remake, it is massively upscaled, more than likely including bigger and new locations. And that kind of follows in with what this next leaker said. It is basically Tranzit but with bigger places. It takes place entirely in the Dark Ether, and as an example, you can play as 2 OG characters and 2 BO6 characters, and they will interact and talk to each other. So what he means by this is, as we saw in the Reckoning ending, we now have Richtofen, Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey back. They are going to be in Black Ops 7, but at the same time, Weaver, Carver, Gray and Maya are also still alive. And so what Treyarch are doing, according to the leaks, is instead of you only being able to play as Richtofen, Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey, and the other crew being left out, you can choose from both crews and pick and mix which one you want to play as. Do you want to play as Nikolai? Do you want to play as Richtofen? Or do you want to play as Maya or Weaver? I'm not sure how this is supposed to work storyline wise or even co-op. I'm guessing it's similar to Alpha Omega, where you would spawn in as either the Primus or Ultimus crew, but on that game you weren't able to pick the specific character you wanted to play as. It was random. Whereas now in Black Ops 7 you can choose between the new Richtofen, Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey crew or the old Weaver, Carver, Gray and Maya crew. And when it comes to how that will work in the storyline, I'm guessing they're just all together. And whichever characters are mixed and matched in your game, there will be voice lines and interactions between all of them. which is good. But on the other hand, I honestly think it would have been better to only have the new Richtofen and Taki, Nikolai and Dempsey. That's just in my opinion. From past experience, when we've had 8 players like Alpha Omega, or even recently in Black Ops 6, there are so many characters in the background just talking to you. Revanov, Strauss, Raptor 1, Kraft, Richtofen, Sam, that it can get not only overwhelming, but it impacts the storyline a bit as well. You can't get a full connection to anyone because there are way too many characters. And I might be wrong in saying this, but could it be one of the reasons why in some maps Peck didn't talk or Revanov didn't have many voice lines was because there were too many voice actors that Treyarch had to get in, whereas in the old games they only had the 4 main characters that needed pretty much all of the voice lines and the odd side character. Black Ops 6 had way too many voice lines for way too many characters that it ended up suffering. So I'm kind of worried about that if there are going to be 8 main characters in the game. If Treyarch can give each of them a boatload of quotes, great, but even then it can be difficult to tell a story if you've got that many characters that you need to focus on. It's hard to connect with what are essentially 2 groups at the same time. When I'm playing a story game, it is so important that you connect with the protagonist that if you've got 8 characters you need to connect with at once, there might be a struggle there. So on one hand, this is interesting, but on the other hand, not to complain, but I think I would have preferred it if Weaver, Carver, Gray and Strauss were just left for another game and we only had Richtofen, Taki, Nikolai and Dempsey in this one, because we haven't seen them in such a long time. Their return is supposed to be highly anticipated and exciting, and I just don't want other characters taking away from them. I want to feel the emotions I did with them back in the old games and nothing else to distract me from that. The other interesting thing about this is, well, Tranzit is the only map we've heard about in Black Ops 7. There are no more, but could they, just like in Black Ops 2, split the map into different sections? So Tranzit is the whole map, but you can play survival on town or farm, diner, the bus depot. I think that would be a great substitute for only having one map, because remember, in Black Ops 1 you had Kino and 5, if you didn't like one you could just play the other. In Black Ops 2, if you didn't like Transit, you could just play Nuketown. In Black Ops 3 we had the Giant and Shadows of Evil. Black Ops 4, there were 4 maps on day 1. Black Ops 6 only had Terminus. If BO7 only has Transit, that's fine if they split up each section into its own playable area as well, and make them all unique and different slightly. Add a few new Easter eggs to each survival area, change around the perk locations or Pack-a-Punch location. That would be a massive missed opportunity in my opinion if they didn't do that. I've heard no news of it, which is worrying, but hopefully they do, because surely something like that can't be difficult. Those are all of the new leaks regarding zombies. There are just a few other things I want to show you though, because you might be thinking the same thing I am. The Ghost of Hope also said the maps in Black Ops 7 are more colourful than the ones in Black Ops 6. Much closer to something like in Cold War. Now, this doesn't always translate into zombies, but if that's the case, if Treyarch are not going for boring grey, brown, green colour palettes in Black Ops 7 and want it to be much more colourful, hopefully that also means the zombies maps have more colour to them as well. I don't want to see washed out browns like in Citadel Daymore, or pretty dull looking maps. I actually want to see some really vibrant colours being shown in BO7's maps. And I do think, especially with the whole of zombies seemingly taking place in the Dark Ether, that immediately gives us the purple colour palette and blue, and Transit, especially the diner, was a saturated, bright, coloured location because of all of the neon signs. I just don't want to see any dull looking maps in the game. And then finishing off, just reminding you of some of the older information about it before it is revealed. Insider Gaming said months ago, zombies will have a difficulty toggle, a wonder vehicle, and a more story focused role as well. It could have a total of 6 round-based zombies maps during the game's life cycle. I'm starting to doubt that one. If Transit is truly the only map on day 1, well, we've only ever gotten 4 maps per DLC cycle, which would take us up to 5. I doubt we would be getting a 5th DLC map. But I will also say, wouldn't this be the perfect game for them to give us a Zombies Chronicles 2? Because it takes place in the Dark Ether. They could Dark Etherify all of the Zombies Chronicles maps. Imagine a Dark Ether version of Die Rise, a Dark Ether version of Buried, or the BO3 maps, because we haven't seen them in such a long time now. That game came out in 2015, I think. A Dark Ether The Rising Draka or Zetsubo no Shima. Just change the skybox and add a few crystals around the place, and that's enough of a change. This is the perfect game for us to get Zombies Chronicles 2. That might be just a dream, but it would be a way to boost up the amount of maps. The article also says, in the map's early development, it was understood that the plan for Zombies was to build the maps from the ground up to allow them to be played in different game modes, including traditional round-based, grief, and Outbreak. I haven't heard about Outbreak coming back in such a long time. I don't think it will. We've only heard of round-based zombies, so that idea might be scrapped. And Treyarch were playing around with more out there settings this time, which the Dark Ether would allow them to do, including a map set in post-World War II New York, and another map described as being set in a Japanese temple at the foot of an erupting volcano. Other ideas included a map set in Vietnam, one in Afghanistan, and another out there idea was one being set in a space station in the Dark Ether. Now that does sound cool. Either way, I think there's a lot more reason to be excited about Black Ops 7 than initially thought. A transit map in the Dark Ether, bigger and better with potential new locations, being able to drive the transit bus. I don't know whether Ted will still be around, we'll have to wait and see. The new version of Richtof and Taku, Nickel and Dempsey, and the old characters, Weaver and the crew, picking who you want to play as, and with the Dark Ether being the setting, gives us an opportunity that we didn't have in Black Ops 6 to go to a variety of different locations. Japan, the Middle East, Transit, the Dark Ether space. So there we go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed. If you have, drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay updated with the latest content on the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.